So basically, this idiot Kirk Hammett has he's taken over my life for 3 years now, and it's been a pretty. It's not even a horrible situation. It's much, much worse. He just apparently he wants me posting about the cool stuff, which things that he finds cool or interesting, or maybe the things that are kind of positive, not necessarily all the tragedies that have occurred and the horrifying crap that I had to go through. But basically, uh, Kirk Hammett's and Metallica's Twitter has to do a lot with the things that I've had to go through and just all the crap that I've been through. And it all started with Kirk Hammett posting on his Twitter based on things that we talked about using his witchcraft abilities. And this basically started in 2017. Kirk Hammett and James Hetfield, they did a spell on me when I went to their first two shows. And that's a long story, and there's a stupid story associated with how all of that happened. But basically, after the second show, they did like a full-on spell on me, and it manifested. And then a lot of things happened, which I've written about, but I haven't like described it in a video. Not that it's really anything important to describe. It might be kind of interesting. But at some point, Kirk Hammett started talking to me using his, witchcraft abilities. And, for me it was really weird and kind of creepy. I didn't want to participate in it, but he did it in a way where he started off mild, and he kind of, showed me his abilities or what he can do. And at first I guess he kind of like, and this is kind of weird, but I guess apparently he can do this, or he can project inside of you, and then he cleaned my kitchen through me or something, and then my kitchen was extra clean. It's kind of stupid and pointless, but I showed my mother. I was like, oh my god, it's like he was inside of me cleaning my kitchen. But that's not really important. What's more important is that then he started giving me credit card numbers, so they can basically talk to you using their witchcraft abilities, and they can project around you or hang out around you as like invisible beings. And that's basically what they did to me for 3 years. And at first they were really nice to me, and it was really fun and cute what they did. It wasn't overbearing, and it wasn't painful. They didn't do anything terrible to me. Only twice they did some weird stuff, and that was it. But when it was just Kirk Hammett and James Hetfield doing this stuff, it wasn't that bad. But Kirk Hammett started off by giving me credit card numbers, and he was kind of hanging out around me as like a character or an invisible being and talking to me. And at first I thought it was weird, but somehow I kind of got used to it. And he would give me credit card numbers that weren't real, but they were still valid. And I would put them in like the Best Buy website, and he pretended like he was going to buy me things. And basically he started off by fucking with me and doing all this stuff to me. And I kind of just went with it. Like, he was starting to take over my life, and so he was giving me credit card numbers, and he started talking to me, and I kind of, I wanted to talk to him on the phone. I didn't really want it to be like this weird witchcraft way or whatever he did, but he just wanted to keep it this way apparently. And so we didn't really talk on the phone. We did talk through Messenger a few times, but it was really vague and weird, and he wanted to keep this as inconspicuous and pretty much invisible and without any proof. So he wanted to keep it as, invisible as possible or whatever, and it was really weird. And, I should have taken that as a huge warning, but the way he did it, I couldn't really get rid of him, and I didn't really know what was going on. Like, he just did it in a way where I got used to it. And so Kirk Hammett would talk to me using his witchcraft abilities, and he started doing it more frequently. And basically at some point he invited me to go to his Salem exhibit in Boston. This was in 2017, and he was going to give a presentation, and he tried to force me to go. And he created a character that was harassing me, basically saying, you better go to Boston, you better go to Boston. And it was basically, harassing me for a week. So he had a character around me, like yelling at me, trying to force me to go to Boston and buy a ticket. And, I started to get freaked out because I didn't really want to go to Boston. And I wasn't really sure if Kirk Hammett was even going to meet me. And, to me it just seemed like it was a game, and it probably was. It seemed like he just wanted me sitting in the audience watching him there. Because my thoughts were, there's no way for me to meet this person. I don't even know him. And, at that point I was just like, well, I need a real invitation. Like, why don't you invite me to go there? And so what he did was then he started posting stuff on his Twitter. So he posted a video on his Twitter to actually invite me to go there. He just posted it generically saying, hey, come to my exhibit in Boston. But, it was because I asked him to, post an invitation basically. And so at this point, Kirk Hammett started doing this regularly. Like, he would post stuff on his Twitter based on things that we talked about through his witchcraft abilities. And, he found that really cool or cute to do that. I didn't really see it as anything bad. I was just kind of like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. And so then he would start posting things on his Twitter based on conversations we had. Like, if we talked about Canada, then he would post something on his Twitter about Canada, or if we talked about anything, he would post on his Twitter about things that we had just talked about. And he also started doing videos, like based on, like he did videos and he make me watch them, because he wasn't sure if I would be attracted to him, so he was trying to get me, like, attracted to him. And he even went to CERN with Lars and created a science video because I told him I like science. And then in the video, he was just like, science rules. And so they just did little stuff like that for fun. So Kirk started doing that stuff I guess he did it for fun, and then he just kept doing it. And then Kirk and James thought they were kissing my ass because they were doing all this crap. And then, well, it's a long story. Things started where they would freak out because if people were mean to me, they felt like, oh, well, we're kissing her ass and people are mean to her, and why is this happening? Like, they were expecting everybody to kiss my ass because I'm pretty, and people are generally mean to me because they're, like, jealous or jerks. And so then, and it's a long story as to how they know that, but because of their abilities. But basically, going back to the whole Boston thing, Kirk had invited me to go to Boston, and he basically tried to force me to go to Boston, and I really wasn't planning on going. And I wasn't even sure if all of this was real. Like, I knew it was real, but it was really weird. The way they can talk to you using their witchcraft abilities was kind of crazy, and I was just kind of freaked out by it all, and anyone would be. And he also had posted some pictures. Like, he posted a picture where he looked really nice, and he was kind of trying to invite me, in a nice way to go meet him there or see him there. And at that time he did really like me, and I was supposed to go to Boston and meet them and go on tour with them. And what happened was, I didn't go to Boston, and he was kind of freaked out because he was just kind of pissed off. It seemed like that was like my only chance to really meet them, except for the first two shows. I was supposed to meet them at the first two shows, and I didn't. And but apparently I ruined the plans that they had between us. Like, I was supposed to go there, and they were supposed to invite me to go on tour, and then I didn't go. And Kirk even posted a picture where he was kind of, showing that he was, like, disappointed that I didn't go. And at the time, I just figured maybe I'll meet him another time, at some other thing. And then Kirk had also he also created like a second meet and greet for me to go meet him, but I didn't get the ticket in time, so I couldn't go. And so when that whole thing happened with the Boston situation, Kirk was pretty pissed off. Like, or he showed he was pretty pissed off. Like, he really wanted me to go on tour with them. And I'm thinking, well, why don't you just pick up the phone and call me, or why don't we talk through like chat or something? This is crazy. And so he was just um, like, what happened was hours before they were supposed to leave on tour, he pretty much terrorized me for 4 hours using, I mean, this is all using his witchcraft abilities. I mean, technically we had like a whole relationship going on using whatever, I don't know how he did this or what it was, but whatever type of witchcraft he used. However, he talked to me like it wasn't traditional. I mean, he wasn't talking to me through the phone or through Messenger, even though we did talk through Messenger a few times, and in a different way. But it was mostly talking through his witchcraft abilities. So we actually had like a whole relationship going on, and it's really fucked up and crazy. I definitely didn't want it to be this way. But there was nothing I could do. Like, I was just helpless. It's my fault because I shouldn't have continued talking to him, but he kind of got me used to this, and so that's just how we talked. And so before they were going to go on tour, like, Kirk Hammett basically, he just terrorized me for 4 hours, and he pretended like he was going to come pick me up. So basically, Kirk Hammett, before he went on tour, and this was in 2017, he acted like he was pissed off because I didn't go meet him in Boston, and that I wasn't, going on tour with them. I don't really know if he was going to ask me to go on tour. I don't believe he was. I think this was just a game, or maybe he really was going to meet me in Boston. He seemed like, he really liked me, and, he showed me that, he really liked me, and that he really wanted me to be there. But I just kind of felt like it was a game, and before he went on tour, using his witchcraft abilities, he basically terrorized me for like 4 hours straight. I mean, I don't know how he did it, but it was like he either talked to me and projected to me and did all this crap. Like, I mean, that's how he and I talked. Basically, it was using these witchcraft, whatever abilities they are. I don't know what they are, but um, somebody I talked to, claims they've heard of this, and they've heard of people that do this. It's just different with Metallica band members because these are famous people and they have abilities that nobody can imagine. And the things they can do, like they can make their witchcraft seem really magical and cute with cartoon characters. And I mean, they do some really cute and cool stuff. Like, it is very cool, but not when they're doing it like, you know, 7 to 8 hours a day, or just like all the time, or I don't know if they hired somebody to do it. I doubt it. It was mostly Kirk Hammett doing it, and James Hetfield was involved sometimes. And but yeah, before Kirk went on tour, like he pretty much was flipping out, and he pretended like he was gonna come and kidnap me and take me on tour. And he really made it seem like that. Like he scared the crap out of me. Like, I called my mother, and I was just like, I was just scared. I was like, is he gonna come pick me up? And he was saying things like, do you want to go on tour? Yes or no? I can come pick you up. And I didn't think he was gonna come pick me up, but he made it seem like he was. And so he just did all this shit for 4 hours. Like, he pretty much terrorized me. And then I guess he finally went on tour, and then he would post updates on his Twitter, like to where he was at, like, oh, my plane just landed, and that was just to try to inform me, like, okay, I'm here right now. And again, he wasn't going to pick up the phone and talk to me. This was all using like his witchcraft abilities, and I was kind of I wasn't sick of it. I was just kind of like, used to it at this point. And then while they were on tour, Kirk basically terrorized me the whole time. He acted like he was really pissed off that I wasn't there with them, and like he wanted me to be there. And again, I'm thinking, well, if you really wanted me to be there, you would have talked to me on the phone, or something. I mean, not just expecting me to fly to Boston. And just because I didn't show up to Boston, then Kirk was pissed off, and or he I guess he projected that he was pissed off, or seemed like it. But I don't know if he really was. So I mean, basically, yeah, while they were on tour the whole time, he was just angry and pissed off and tried to show me that, he wanted me to be there. And, again, he's never met me and he just saw me at the concert. And yes, he did, they did like me at the concert and stuff. We never met, but, it was a little extreme. And so, yeah, at that point, at this point, Kirk Hammett had started posting stuff on his Twitter based on what we talked about, and it was just a regular thing. Like, I was just used to it. It wasn't a big deal or anything. And then he did a lot of Salem videos and forced me to watch them. And he posted like a CERN video saying he liked science, and that's because I told him I like science. So again, they thought they were kissing my ass because they were doing all this stuff, and I didn't think they were. I was just kind of like, whatever. This is whatever it is. And then at some point, something horrible happened while he was in the middle of going on tour. At some point, while Kirk Hammett was doing this witchcraft stuff to me, he was going to start talking sexually to me. And he was probably going to start giving me like all this sex energy because they have tons of sex energy. And what happened was like my family knew what was going on. Like they knew that like Kirk Hammett was projecting around me and talking to me. And, they believed it. They know I'm not crazy and stupid. And I mean, they knew the story. And so somehow I told my sister about this and she had me on speakerphone. And my mother's not like, she's an old lady, but she's also very narcissistic. And so my mother heard this and I think something compelled her to try to jump in. I think it was like a negative force, or it could have been Kirk Hammett's master, who's also involved in all this bullshit. And and this isn't bullshit. This is a severe situation. Kirk Hammett's master is like a dead being or spirit. He was a former human, and so he's behind the scenes and all this crap going on. And so what happened was, at some point I was talking to my mother through FaceTime, and she kind of tried to show Kirk, because she knew Kirk hung out around me, and she did something to where she kind of tried to show Kirk like, oh, I'm interested or something. It was stupid. And I mean he picked on, or whatever the hell this is involved, picked on. And so then Kirk Hammett, rather than having sex with me, and this was Kirk Hammett as an invisible being, and there's a name for him, and he's called Kirk Hammett Uncontained, and Uncontained is like an invisible form. And so then at that point, Kirk Hammett, or whatever characters he was creating, rather than having sex with me, he started having sex with my mother. And he just made it this regular thing. Like he would pretend like he was gonna have sex with me, and then he would jump on my mother. And then he did it as a joke at first, and then he just kept doing it. And then he kept acting like he wanted to be evil to me. And then he had a character harassing me, saying like, I'm fucking your mother, I'm fucking your mother, I'm fucking your mother. And he did this a lot. Like he started then kind of tormenting me using his witchcraft abilities. And, at that point, it was just something he did regularly. And then at some point he got abusive, like, and there are people I've talked to that, have encountered witchcraft, and they've heard of, not the way Metallica does it, but they've encountered stuff similar to this a little bit. But with Metallica, or Kirk and James, they create characters and they make it funny. They make it fun and cute. And they did whatever they did. Like I said, wasn't painful. It was really cool. They had like invisible teddy bears having sex with me, but not really. Like they just did really cute stuff. And but Kirk Hammett would say things like, oh, it's just me, you, and James. And he tried to put fantasies in my mind about me, him, and James Hetfield, and how we're going to go on tour and have sex and all this stuff. And but then he started having sex with my mother, and he really did as an invisible being. So I'm not sure to what extent he took it. I believe he really was jumping on her. And people that astral project or do witchcraft, they can have sex with you in different ways. Like they can project sexual energy to you, or they can do all types of things. So I believe he was really going to my mother and having sex with her, and then he just started doing it, and then then it turned into a thing where he wasn't going to have sex with me ever or give me this sex energy. And they actually have amazing sex energy, and that's when all this evil stuff started against me. So prior to that, Kirk Hammett was nice to me, and he wanted to take me on tour, and I think he was going to take me on tour the second time, but then when this sex stuff with my mother started, that's when everything got really malicious, and so basically, then he just started jumping on her and terrorizing me, and then he got abusive, and he started doing weird crap like choking me when I woke up, or using his abilities to choke me, and he started harassing me and just doing crazy shit. I can't remember all the details, but for like 2 months he was abusive, and so this was just regular, like Kirk Hammett, hung out around me and in this weird form, and we had like a weird fucked up witchcraft thing relationship going on. Of course it wasn't like a real relationship, it was just this nonsense. And I just got used to it, and I think I don't remember all the details because this was in 2017, but like, my family, they knew what was going on, um and then at some point Kirk Hammett, like, he wanted me to get attention for all of this, so he tried to force me to post videos on YouTube, and he wanted me writing in forums about it, and I would just end up getting banned, or maybe people didn't believe it, or maybe they were jealous, I'm not sure. And at that point, I don't really know if he wanted to meet me, because then he started to get abusive and weird, and um, then he pretty much told me that, like, that he's only going to give me the sex energy after he meets me. And that's where all this malice started between me and Kirk Hammett and James Hetfield, and all this bullshit and horror. Because prior to that, they were pretty nice to me. But then Kirk Hammett started this whole sex crap with my old mother. And, it's pretty extreme. She's an old lady, and it's really horrifying. Then Kirk Hammett and James Hetfield started using their witchcraft abilities to give sex energy to everybody around me. And then they started a thing where I'm going to get everything last. They claim that everybody's going to get everything first, and I'm never going to get the sex energy until the end. And this, a lot of things happened between us. Like, this happened daily. Like, Kirk Hammett hung out around me in this witchcraft way. Their Twitter, Kirk's Twitter had to do with things that we talked about. They did videos, and I can't remember every detail, but things kind of got more intense once Kirk Hammett's master got involved, and that's when everything got really bad. And but basically, Metallica still, what they do is they do little things like, I went out with a guy once who owned a skateboard company, so they started a skateboard company because of him. And the way they write the name is because I went to a meetup group, and it was like a Scrabble type game. And they played in festivals because of what some guy said um, at a Rockville festival that I was at, and Kirk Hammett hung out around me. It's a long story, but yeah, that's basically things that they started doing. Like, they would, create concerts because of things we talked about. They even played "Don't Look Back in Anger" in England, and that's because me and Kirk had focused on that song, and they were basically telling me not to look back in anger, because of the crap they had done to me. But at that point, they really hadn't done that much crap to me. Like, they were pretty nice to me. So they would, post stuff. They would make videos and post things on Twitter based on what was happening with all this witchcraft stuff between me and Kirk. And like, they, like, James sat in the audience of a Ghost concert, and then he made me see the picture to show, like, he was just like me, like an audience member watching a concert. And so they did a lot of things. I can't remember every detail, but once Kirk Hammett's master got involved, then that's when things got really bad and malicious, and that's when everything turned really into a terrible, terrible situation. At first, they were just doing this crap to me, and it was kind of annoying, and I should have stopped it. I just didn't know Kirk Hammett's master was going to get involved and ruin my life and murder beings in my life. I mean, this is a very tragic and terrible situation. But yeah, prior to that, Kirk Hammett and James Hetfield did witchcraft on me, and they were nice. Like, they were nice for the most part. Just, they did all types of weird, cute stuff, and but then Kirk Hammett had like this abusive streak, and there's a lot happened. Like, he actually he hated my brother-in-law because my brother-in-law was jealous of all of this. So every time I told my brother-in-law about it, he didn't really respond. So Kirk, he got really pissed off. Like, I mean, he hated him. Like, my brother-in-law is a little bit famous. He's not famous, but he goes on TV sometimes. And so Kirk Hammett put him under mind control one day and forced him to write a bunch of crap, just horrible, weird crap. And he got banned from a convention. And it didn't ruin his career, but, it just made him look really bad in some sense. And then Kirk told me that he did that. Like, I had no idea that he did that. And they were doing things to, like, my family members too, like, just nothing bad. They were just projecting inside of them, and they knew everything about my family as well because they have abilities where they can watch you through their witchcraft. And so, I mean, yeah, Kirk Hammett, like, he hung out around me a lot, and he was literally like my best friend in this weird witchcraft forum. And so I'm pretty sure it was either him or he was projecting characters or however he did it. And he would just kind of hang out around me wherever I went. Not all the time. And then usually, like, if they had a concert, then it would stop. And yeah, this also started like with them giving me. It's like they're all about energy, and when this started, like, suddenly Metallica would have a concert, and I could feel it, and I could feel the energy, and I would be like, oh my God, they have a concert right now, and then I would look it up, and I'd be like, wow, they do. And so Kirk was starting to, like, give me, like, I called it the concert energy, and so every time they had a concert, Kirk would give me all this energy, and he created, like, these Kirk trolls, like these cute little characters that would give me, they had Kirk Hammett's hair, and they would give me energy. It's a long story, and this isn't even the real Kirk Hammett. He's like a Hawaiian guy who's taller than Kirk Hammett. It looks like there are several Kirks, and I'm not really sure who's who. And I'm not really sure what's going on with all of this, but prior to Kirk Hammett's master getting involved, this was not like a very malicious situation. It was kind of cute and interesting. And then it got really, really bad, like super bad. I mean, when Kirk Hammett's master got involved, it turned into a horrifying tragedy. And now they just want to be mean to me and abuse me and torture me because of what happened. And they're just used to it now. So now Kirk Hammett just, wants to torment me for fun. And like, I mean, prior to that, Kirk Hammett was abusing me, but he was also nice to me using his abilities. And, like, he did invite me to go to the Bahamas and Hawaii, but I don't think he was really going to take me there. I don't think he was really going to meet me after I didn't go to Boston. It's a long story. He even put me under mind control and forced me to fly to San Francisco twice. And that was a horrifying experience. He personally invited me to his home and showed me his address and all this bullshit. And so yeah, I've been through a lot of horrible shit with them. And even that was bad enough, but that was nothing compared to what happened once Kirk Hammett's master invaded my life. My life got destroyed, and it's a horrifying story. And nobody deserves to go through what I had to go through.